Have you ever noticed that smart people can't finish things? The number one reason is because they just are stuck in their heads. I have a friend that's been working on a project for 10 years, and it is the culmination of so much thinking. He's compiled notes and documents and PDFs and templates and frameworks and videos, everything you can think of. I built him applications for this bad boy. The man is brilliant, and he's one of the most authentic and productive people I know. So this is not because he's lazy. It's because he is stuck inside his loop. Fighter pilots use this decision making framework in high stakes situations so that they can move quicker than their enemies. They use what we call an OODA loop, OODA. It's an acronym for Orient, Observe, Decide, and Act. But that's a little bit too cerebral, and I want to break it down and make it simple, something we can apply in our own lives. So I've changed it to LUDA loop, which is like ludicrous. You look, you understand, you decide, and then you act. It's a very powerful model that allows us to execute quicker so we can achieve our goals in a time frame that makes sense to us. Remember, if we only have 40 years left as millennials, we need to make every second count. Here's the two ways that smart people actually fail at this loop. Some people never stop looking. They're constantly looking for more information about their competitors. When they take a course about frameworks, they're gathering inspiration. They're looking for all of this so that they can hopefully reduce as much risk as possible. The way to break out of this is to take all that information that you've accumulated and compiled, dump it into an LLM, either ChatGPT or Claude, create a project around it, and then have it decide what the key pieces of information are so that you're now creating a better perspective on it. Every time you look in a new direction, you never complete your loop, you're actually resetting it because you're constantly finding new things to look at. You're constantly consuming instead of creating. Now here's failure number two. You do complete the loop. The problem is it's a false completion because all you did was complete the same loop. You look at the problem the same way. You understand it through the same lens. You make the same exact decision and you take the same exact action. You do this because it is familiar. It's safe. You think you are reducing risk. You're not moving towards your goal. You're only doing what feels safe. Really, what we're talking about is a attempt to control the outcome. If you look long enough, or if you stay in a familiar territory, you will eliminate enough risk to make the right decision or take the right action. But fighter pilots don't eliminate risk. They just compress the time in which they're making their decisions so that they can act faster than the threat. But the threat for you isn't failure. It's also not death. You're not in the skies fighting someone else's jet. The threat for you is a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. You need to compress the amount of time and you need to loop faster so that you can move towards your goal efficiently. We're hopping into it. Let's make it real and practical. If we can master these 4 steps, then we're going to be able to do things in 2026 that we would not have thought possible in as short as time as we're going to do them. The first thing we want to do is we want to look. And look isn't just seeing something. Look also means what direction you're looking from and what you're paying attention to. It's not constant research. It is understanding what perspective I need in order to gain the amount of information for what matters now. Because if you're just looking, you're only looking for reasons to delay decisions and actions. Now, my friend has constantly looked at how to build the perfect course, how to create the perfect product. But his idea of perfection shouldn't be on the end result. It should be on how quickly he takes action. What is the one piece of value I can deliver today? AI can help here because after he's compiled and given his LLM all of the information, it can point him in a direction and say, hey, that connects with your overall vision. You should probably start mentioning that. Hey, that's a strategy that makes sense because it's going to connect to the goal in this way. You should probably start taking action here. The next step is to understand. We've looked at the problem, we've gathered information, and now we need to understand what it is that we're looking at, not from a point of bias, but from a point of reality. The question can't be, what does this do for the result? The question has to be, what does this tell me about my next move? My friend finally understands this because he's no longer trying to create something so perfect that nobody can criticize. Because if he's stuck at the stage of understanding and never takes an action, it's just sophisticated procrastination. This is why smart people don't finish things because we're way too analytical. AI will accelerate this step as well. It's going to point out the patterns, connect the dots to the visions, and give you an understanding that will resonate with you so you can make the right decision. Deciding does not mean that I'm going to guarantee success, that I've made the perfect decision. We're deciding what is the smallest thing that I can test today. It's all trial and error. The loop isn't meant to succeed, 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 succeed. It's meant to test, 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 test. The fighter pilots know that speed beats perfection. You've heard the anecdote that execution is king. Ideas are worthless unless you execute. This is where most people break down because deciding here in the right way means you have to accept what you cannot control. AI will generate these options for you. It'll say, you can go with A, it's going to look like this. You can go with B, it's going to look like this. And you can go with C, it's going to look like this. And because you have looked at the problem the right way, you've understood it without bias, now you can make a decision that will allow you to act quickly. And when we're acting, it is not to achieve any result other than gathering more information in order to improve our perspective in the next loop. So any loop that we complete becomes a concrete block that we can step on, raising our perspective, giving us a new way to look at our surroundings so that we can complete a smarter, faster, more efficient loop next time. Action isn't about completion, not about hitting the goal. It's about gathering and generating new information. The loop only works if you complete it. My friend was able to really put this into action because instead of waiting for all the information so that he could package this perfect course and then present it to the world, he's generating small iterative concepts based on what the audience needs, not on what his mind has been tied to for so long. AI is going to make this so much easier. It'll allow you to draft, prototype, and structure your ideas so that you can test them in the real world, getting you to that perfectly crafted product. People know that they have the facts. They know that they're intelligent enough and capable enough to achieve the goal. The problem is they're trying to protect the reputation that they've built over the last 40 years. I get it. I was like this. If I go out in the world and I make these mistakes, people are going to look at me differently. But we are not acquiring information so that we have evidence to prove ourselves. You don't need to prove yourself to anybody, not to yourself, not to your friends, not to your family, your boss, your community, anybody. What you are doing is you're capturing information so that you can make a decision and act quicker, not to compile evidence to prove yourself in some court of law. So every loop you do not complete while keeping you safe also keeps you from your goal. There's a gap between each stage. The gap between action and decision is procrastination. If I've decided to do something and I do not act, I'm procrastinating. The gap between understanding something, I've looked at it and I've understand it and I do not make a decision, that is indecision, right? And when I'm constantly looking at something over and over and over again, this is an interesting one. This is isolation because what I'm doing is I'm drawing a circle around myself and trying to make sure that nothing else comes into view that ruins that perspective. So I'm isolating myself from real facts, real environmental factors, real influences from other people. And if you combine isolation with indecision and procrastination, you have persistent anxiety. And I'm not talking about brain chemistry anxiety where you might need medication in order to get past something. I'm talking about the self-induced anxiety from not completing the loop or completing the same loop over and over and over again. The fighter pilot understands that they have to complete their loop faster than the enemy. We don't have to necessarily fight against some outside force. Our obstacle, our force is internal hesitation. It's an internal idea of perfection. It's the fear of failure, the fear of ruining our reputations. Stop looking for permission. You just need to decide with what you have and act so that you learn what you don't have. This has helped me consistently iterate products. It has helped me get out of my own head over the last 30 days so I can create content without waiting for it to be perfect. It has helped my friend break through so that he understands it's not about more information. He's compiled tons of data over the last 10 years. All he needs to do is move through his loop. So are you looking in the wrong direction? Is that the issue? Are you stuck in your loop because you're looking at the wrong thing? Or do you have information, but you don't want to understand it because it makes you uncomfortable? It forces you to get outside of a safe space. Are you deciding without action? Are you stuck in a procrastination mode? AI is not going to solve this for you. It's going to make it easier for you to solve it for yourself. It's going to compress every single step. It'll allow you to look faster. It'll allow you to understand things in a clearer way. It'll allow you to decide more easily, and it's going to allow you to act more quickly. The framework is an insight. I don't want you to walk away thinking LUDA loop. I want you to complete the loop. Act, but not before I make right decisions, because I understood the right information, because I looked at the problem in the right way. Stop preparing, start looping, and reach your goals in 2026 faster than you ever have before.